Okay, so let's start. No? By the way, are everyone uh, is done with our previous activities like uh, the sending of the file that I asked you, right? Now I would like also to remind everyone that the purpose of me uploading the video is for you to watch. No? I've noticed some of your classmates do ask questions which are already been given on the video presentation that I already uploaded. No? Do not skip. No? Do not skip. That's the purpose of it. No? For you to watch. If you're going to skip and then ask questions on the group chat, just because you skip something on the video, uh, it's really not the fault of your teacher. It's your fault. Why? Because you did not watch the whole video. Okay? Maybe you felt lazy that time, and then uh, you're just scrolling it up. No, it's not the way. No, it's not the way. So the purpose of the video is for you to watch the whole presentation. Okay? Are we clear with that? Kasi I've noticed some of our classmates ganun yung ginagawa, no? So binanggit ko na, I already mentioned all in the video, but then it happens that hindi pa rin nila they did not watch the whole video. That's why they have few questions pa din. So medyo ano 'yon, hindi it's not really acceptable. Okay? Are we clear with that? Paki-type clear if you okay, accept the terms that I have said with the video presentation. Okay. So let's start our lesson. So this time we are kind of familiar with these lessons already. So these are basic security concepts. So basic security concepts covers threats, which applies in user hardware and data. Okay, so that means that uh, when it comes to computer security, okay, uh, we have three aspects of possible attacks. We have either user, we have hardware, and we also have data, which will be discussed one by one as we go along. Okay. So let's first define what is threats. So threats is anything that can harm a computer. So we are talking about threats regarding or specifically to computer. We have different interpretation of threats. No, maybe you could apply threats in your house, threats in electricity, and in other areas. But then our focus today is the threats only with the use of your unit or a computer or inside your computer. So threats is anything that can harm a computer. That means if if this particular scenario would harm your computer, that means that this could be possible a threat. Okay, this could be possibly a threat. No, vulnerabilities are weakness in security. What do we mean by vulnerabilities? Do we have any idea? We always no, we always hear vulnerable. No? What does it mean? Pakitype nga yung answers. I want you to type your answers. What do you mean by vulnerable in your own terms? In your own words? Tagalog would be accepted. Just type your answer on the message box. 1 minute. What do you mean by vulnerable? Sinaktan. May sinaktan dito. Okay. So those what you have typed are all correct. So you have exposed, no? You have weakness, no? Prone to danger. Those are vulnerabilities. That means um, when we say kasi, when we say that you are vulnerable or a particular scene is vulnerable, that means they are prone to attack. They are exposed to attack. Okay? That means that's the weak spot of a particular security. Okay? So security attempts to neutralize threats. Okay? So that's why you have security, okay, for you to neutralize the threats, for you to eliminate threats, for you to be safe. Okay? For you to be secured. Okay? Okay, let's move on. Now we have different degree of harm. So level of potential damage includes all parts of the system. So possible, no? Possible. Okay, possible that uh, a parts of a system could include the following, or could be, no? Could be possible potential data loss, loss of privacy, inability to use the hardware, meaning it has already been scrapped, right? It was totally been damaged and you cannot use it, or possibly it is locked. Okay? Inability to use software. Okay? That is also one. Okay? So this could be possible uh, uh, a degree of harm. No? Okay? So there might be probability that you may encounter this. Okay? So I'll give you a scenario. One of my staff was a victim of a ransomware. You know, ransomware is, okay? A ransomware means his computer was totally encrypted, and for you to decrypt it, you need to pay them. Okay? It's like a virus installed in a unit, and then what does the virus do is it will lock all your file, and the creator of that virus would ask you for a payment for him to unlock again your file. So that is a ransomware. So be careful also with that, kasi there might be a probability that you browsing in the internet, there might be a probability that you click something, and then once you click something, yeah, you will be a victim of, no? Okay. So what are the different countermeasures that you might do, no? So steps taken to block a threat, protect the data from the theft, and protect the system from the theft. So these are the possible countermeasures that you may do, no? Uh, what do we mean by this? All you have to do is to at least be cautious with the websites, the files that you're trying to open it. No? Uh, like for example, in different websites, there are advertisements that is quite attracting, like click this to win a phone, okay? Click this to win a raffle for an iPhone, something like that. No? There might be a probability of doing that. Okay? So steps taken to block a threat. You may purchase hardware that would do security for you, layers of security, no, to block the threat. Now we also have threats to user, and one of that is identity theft. Okay, so what is identity theft? So impersonation by private information can become the victim. Okay, different methods of stealing information. Okay, now with this, I want you to type your answer. Can you give me an example of identity theft? Okay, type your answer. 1 minute. Can you give me an example of identity theft? 1 minute. Okay, we have dummy account. You have a full source FB. They would use someone else's name. Same rin sa mga scammer. The fake accounts. Okay. So that's a good example. Like for example, um, there is your picture, no? But then it has a different name, and then it tries to add your friends, no? It tries to add your friends, and then that particular account would ask for money, because you had an emergency, something like that. So that's one example of identity theft. Okay, so I have 4 answers out of 16. How about the others? Are they still sleeping? Then they just logged in because it's still 8 o'clock. Okay. So I want to remind everyone that once I ask questions, that means that I want answers in the group chat. So that means if you did not participate, since this is recorded, uh, that would be minus on the total number of recitations that you have. Right? Just reminding everyone. Okay. So another threats to user is the loss of privacy. Okay, so personal information is stored electronically. Purchases are stored in a database. Public records on the internet. Internet use is monitored and logged. None of these techniques are illegal. When we say loss of privacy, um, this is a big issue. This is still an issue currently because of the data privacy. Now, personal information is stored electronically. Like for example, in Facebook, your personal information is stored, okay, in a database. No? Now, every purchase that you have in SM, in Marquee, in Harbor Point are stored in a database. Then, okay, public records on the internet. There might be a probability that you have a public record on the internet. If you Google your name, you will see your picture there. Okay? Maybe you have tried it. For some na hindi pa, you may try it. Try to Google yourself. Makikita nyo, you have a public record on the internet. Internet use is monitored and logged if you are in an institution or in let's say in a work. Okay? None of this are illegal. But then loss of privacy is like it depends on the situation. It depends on the situation. Like for example, if you are at work, your employer should know what you are doing all the time because you are at work. Okay? But then if you go out in the work, okay, your employer doesn't need to monitor you. Okay, kaya sabi dito, none of these techniques are illegal. Okay, so that means all of this are legal and it has a legal implications. Now, the loss of privacy would just come in if, let's say, for example, at your work, your phone should be monitored. Okay, your Facebook are monitored, so those are loss of privacy. Okay, but again, these are from terms to terms basis. Okay. Now, cookies. Files delivered, what do we mean by cookies? So, files delivered from a website. It has originally improved a site function. Cookies now track history and passwords. Browser includes cookies blocking tools. So, um, what's your insight about cookies? Do you know what is cookies? Okay. So, I want you to type your answer. What do we mean by cookies? What do we mean by cookies? 1 minute, ah. It's not the cookies na ano, ha. So you should already be I mean, with this parang kailangan you will be familiar with this kasi you are an IT, so might be probability that um later on, no, you will be encountering series of this, no. Okay, when we say cookies, it's like a history tracker. Okay, let's say for example, um before you enter a website, there is a pop up on the side, on the top of the browser, that do you want to accept the cookies, something like that. Okay, that particular permission would allow the website to track what you're trying to search is. Okay, so let's say for example, okay, you have a social media account, right? Let's say you also have a Lazada app or a Shopee app. So this is how cookies work. You browse a shoes. Okay, you browse a shoes. But then you did not browse it using your Facebook. You browse it using your Lazada. And then suddenly, you'll see in your Facebook that all of the shoes, okay, all of the promos about shoes is already listed on your Facebook. Okay? That is cookies. Okay? It would track history of your searches. Now, it would give you a lot of, you know, okay, it would give you a lot of your interests. Okay? It would give you a lot of your interests. So, let's say, for example, you browsed uh, 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 a destination for your travel. And then suddenly, all of the website that you are currently visiting would have a pop-up, would have uh, 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 an advertisement regarding resorts. Okay? So that is cookies. Okay? Now, how would that be a threat to the user? Okay? Somewhat, no, somewhat um it would go beneficial if you really want to browse. But then it become threats because it would give you unsolicited unsolicited uh, endorsements. Like for example, you don't want to see shoes, but then in your Facebook it would appear. Okay, so cookies are like that. In some way they are good, somewhat they are not, because also cookies would also store passwords. Okay, so be careful with that. So you have to be careful with cookies also. Okay, so next, spyware. So spywares are still threats to the user. So software downloaded to a computer. These are designed to record personal information. Typically, undesired software hides from the user, and several programs exist to eliminate. Okay, so spywares are way back 2003. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, 2005. Spywares are everywhere already, because that time people are not really familiar with spyware. These are the types of uh, parang spam sila na would enter another would run a software on your background, no? So once you click something, makikita nyo doon, it would run on the background. Minsan you will notice sobrang bagal ng internet mo. Okay, because some of the spyware is already running on the background of your unit. And then what it does is it would going to scan your files, scan your personal information, and record something. Even your passwords will be recorded. So this is not a good software. Okay. Web bugs. Okay, so web bugs are small programs embedded in GIF images. So be careful with that. Gets around cookies blocking tools. Companies used to track usage and block with spyware killers. Okay, so these are web bugs. These are parang planted. Okay, planted in a particular website that would actually mess with your cookies. No? So be careful with also. These are hard to These are hard to identify if you're not really familiar with the different threats. Okay. Spam. So alam na natin tong mga to, no? These are unsolicited commercial in your email. Okay, so stop spam before reaching the inbox. Is this possible? Okay. Sometimes none. No, because emails are free. So you have no control with the different unsolicited commercial. Okay. Spammers acquire addresses using many methods. So minsan you will notice you're not subscribed with this email, but then how did they know your email? So something like that, no? Okay, they have different methods. They have a lot of methods in acquiring a particular email address. So affects the operation or reliability. Power-related threats. These are the threats to hardware, by the way. Some of which are like power fluctuation, power spikes or brownouts, no? Power loss, uninterruptible power supplies, no? Yung mga ganyan. So these are the threats to hardware naman. It doesn't have to do with any software, no? On this side, no? It's more of power. So let's say in 1 hour, 5 times siya nag-power fluctuate. So what would happen? There might be probability that your hardware would be damaged. No? Okay, so yung mga ganun. Another thing is halimbawa, lindol, ganon, earthquake, fire, those are also threats to the hardware. Okay? So yung mga hindi natin makontrol, those are uh, uh, calamities, no? Threats and vandalism, threats, theft and vandalism. Syempre, if the hardware was stolen, so that's another thing. Okay? So let's say thieves steal the entire computer, okay? Accidental or intentional damage, no? Let's say you are resigning on a particular company, okay? Instead of you, okay, you are angry with the management, you try to burn the hard drive that you are using so that they will not going to retrieve your data, something like that. So that's another threat to the hardware. Okay. These are the countermeasures. Keep the PC in a secure area. Lock the computer to a desk. So watch equipment. Chase away loiterers. So one another thing is that through usage of CCTV nowadays, so that's another countermeasure. So you will not. There might be probability that the hardware would be uh, steal, but then you will know who stole it. Okay. So as I said, no, this is natural disaster. Okay, this differs by different locations. So yeah, no, typically result in a total loss. Okay, so the countermeasure is disaster planning. So plan for recovery, least potential disaster. So for example, if you are in a typhoon, you put your company, your hardware in a typhoon area. So what would be your countermeasure since you knew that every month, let's say every month there is a typhoon. So what would be your disaster planning? Okay? May mga ganun yan. So threats to data, these are the most serious threats. So data is a reason for computer. Okay? That's why we have computer because of the data. Data is very difficult to replace. This is also correct. Okay? Also, it is difficult to protect, okay? Because there are many ways to retrieve the data. Even if you put passwords because of a lot of software running around. No? Okay? So, what are the different threats? One is virus. Okay? Software that distributes and installs itself. This is virus. Ranges from annoying to catastrophic. When we say ranges from annoying, sometimes you'll just be annoyed, but then later on, that will be catastrophic, meaning it could destroy, okay, the whole data that you have or even the unit that you have. Okay. So, what are the countermeasures? You may put antivirus on your software. Okay. You may also have pop-up blockers. Okay. Do not open unknown email. Okay. Yung mga ganyan. So, minsan kasi, if you open unknown email, let's say there is a link. I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, you received an email from an LBC saying that you have a package, but then you're not expecting any package. You're not expecting any LBC products. Why would you open it? Okay? So, mga pang-akit kasi nila yon. So, be cautious with that. You also have Trojan horses. Okay? So, program that poses as beneficial software. User willingly installs the software. So, these are the Trojan horses. This might give a promise that it would boost something in your unit, but then they are Trojan horses. It would run also in the background. Okay? So again, okay, antivirus pa rin and spyware blocker yung way on how are you going to eliminate them. Cybercrime. So using a computer in an illegal act, fraud and theft are common acts. So, cybercrime yon. Thematic, if you use computer in creating illegal conduct, that is already a cybercrime. Okay? Let's say you are creating fake credit cards using your unit, that is already fraud. You are creating accounts in different person, okay, getting their identity. That's identity theft, and it is under cybercrime. Okay. Now, can you give me another examples of cybercrime? 1 minute. Okay, examples of cybercrime. One example lang. Okay, so those are cybercrime, no? So nakita ko, you have listed different cybercrime, no? These are all correct, okay? So we can move on. Next, internet fraud. These are the most common cybercrime. Uh, these are the fraudulent websites have names similar to legitimate websites. So be careful with this. Why? Because sometimes it would look like the same website that you are trying to access, but then they are fraud. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Facebook. Let's say you are trying to log in using Facebook on your laptop. You type Facebook, but then instead of typing the correct letter, the Facebook, the double O, you type one O. And then it you did not notice that you only have one letter O. But then the website that appeared was exactly the same as Facebook. So you did not notice that this is already a fraudulent website. You try to log in, you put your username, you put your password, but then you could not push through with the homepage. They're already capturing your username and password. So be careful, especially bank what do you call this? Bank websites. Okay? So medyo 'yon. Like in my case, I always use application rather than, typing it on a web browser, because applications are much safer if you are referring to bank. Okay? Next, hacking. So we are already familiar with hacking, no? Okay, so lagi nyong naririnig to. IT ka ba? Hack mo nga yung Facebook account nung jowa ko, no? Okay. So as an IT, you are not an hacker, no? So you try to protect, okay, what is currently in your end. So you're not a hacker, no? So using a computer to enter another network, so that is hacking. So what motivates the hacker? So these are the motivations of the hacker. So recreational hacking, so they just do it for hobby. They just want to unlock and penetrates different securities. So recreational lang yan. Financial hackers, these are, they want to gain something. They want to steal something. That's why they would penetrate a particular security. Grudge hacking, that means I don't want this company. I would avenge it. So that is grudge hacking. Okay. So there are different hacking methods. So you have sniffing, social engineering, and spoofing. Okay. So these are the different methods. Like spoofing, these are in the networks. Like you're trying to penetrate a particular network and then get all the data. Okay. Denial of service attack, attempts to stop the public server. These are the common. That's why sometimes, no, sometimes websites are being down because of the denial service of attack. They would flood the IP address of that particular website, and then what would happen is, since it is flooded, okay, other user that tries to access the website would be automatically cut off. So yeah, no. So this is simultaneously launch. No? So this is continuous. Okay? Too many requests stops the server. Yan, yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina. Okay? Yeah. So we also have cyber terrorism. These are attacks made at a nation information. Targets includes power plant. If you view it in what do you call this? In the movies, some of which are true, no? But not all. Okay, you'll see the parang ina-attack yung central system nila. So, yan. No? Cyber terrorism yan. Okay, so that all concludes your threats, the topic threats. No? So this will be included in your what do you call this? This will be included in your pre-final exam. So I will not give any quiz for today because next week is your pre-final exam. Okay, so para medyo ma-relax naman tayo ng konti. Okay, so next week ko na yung mismong ano natin, quiz. No? Yung quiz natin and pre-final exam, pag-iisahin na lang natin. Okay? So, any questions so far with our topic? Do we have any question? If we have any question, pakitype yung answer. Pakitype yung question on the message box. If none, pakitype none. Okay, I think everything is already clear, no? So with that, no, I would going to dismiss you. And just wait for the link for the pre-final exam. So, ganito yung gagawin natin sa pre-final exam nyo, no? You may take it already on that particular week. Maybe I will be I would be uploading it either Tuesday, no, or Wednesday, and then you may already took it earlier. Okay, anytime of that particular week. Okay, for just one attempt, no, one attempt lang yung meron, no. Okay, so ibig sabihin you may take it any time of the week, even morning, even evening. Okay, as long as it is already available for just one attempt. And that is only for 1 hour. Okay? So if we have no more questions, okay, I'll be dismissing you. Thank you for attending our class and see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you po.
Goodbye po, sir.
Bye,
Thank you po.
sir. Thank you po.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.